Well, you'll know. I mean, you told over 1 million people to move from the north to the south, and the WHO says today forcing hospital patients, for example, to relocate would be a death sentence. I mean, some of those people are not able to move. They are likely to die, aren't they?
First of all, we're not going to target hospitals. Let's be clear here.
Let's talk now to the head of the Palestinian mission to the UK, Hossam Zomlot. He represents the Palestinian Authority, which runs parts of the Israeli-occupied West Bank and has no authority or influence in Gaza. Welcome to you. Good morning. First of all, your response to what Mark Regev has just said on behalf of the Israeli government.
I just hope the BBC will challenge this, because this has gone on for a long time. He just claimed that Israel did not and will not target hospitals. Yesterday, one of the major hospitals was bombarded. We have statements by the Archbishop, the Palestinian Archbishop of the Anglican Church, all the churches in Jerusalem and here in the UK condemning that act. These lies, right live on camera, that Israel sticks to the rules of international law. Seriously? Cutting food, electricity, targeting schools, churches, mosques, cutting off people from any sort of humanitarian assistance is the contours of international law. Does Mark Regev really know what international law is? Does he know that it is the responsibility of his government and his military to protect the lives of the civilians? I haven't seen images of fighters, Hamas fighters being killed. All the images we are receiving are families being slaughtered.
Can you tell me what you're hearing from family in Gaza, friends and contacts? What is the situation like there now? Horror,
carnage. People, you know what? Not only the people who are sitting in their home like my own family and then boom, they're dead. The father, the mother, the children, the grandmother, everybody, like my own family. I'm talking about real experience here. But people who, for instance, have diabetes. And now, not only they don't have insulin, they don't have refrigerators to put their medicine. My sister lives in the south of Gaza. Her home has a capacity for 7. You know how many people now live with her? 150. 150.
In one house?
They sleep standing. No food, no electricity, complete blackout, no supplies. They're sitting ducks, but they're showing human solidarity together. They sleep 2 hours in rounds. The people are absolutely showing that courage. This is carnage, and Israel claims on your program that they respect the provision of international law, and this is not the first time.
Okay. You are in mourning, like so many families. Your own party, Fatah, is opposed to Hamas, who carried out the massacres last week. Mark Regev has just told us that the Israeli government, the Israeli troops, want to wipe out Hamas, eliminate them. This is war, he says. What do you think of that objective?
There is no military solution to this. Israel tried it with us, with
What
Fatah.
about the objective, though?
It's ridiculous. Israel has used what happened last...
But it's ridiculous because it can't work, or it's ridiculous because you don't want them to wipe out Hamas?
No, because it can't work. It can't work.
But you, in principle, you would want Israel to wipe out Hamas,
There
correct?
is no military solution to this. Victoria.
No, please can I just be clear for our audience?
You asked me.
In principle, would you want them to wipe out Hamas?
In principle, I would want them to wipe one thing: their military occupation, their colonization.
And why won't you
their
say...
besiegement of Gaza. That's what needs to be wiped out.
And I want to ask you, why won't you say, in principle, you agree with Israel wanting to wipe out Hamas?
Why would I want to say that? Because this is a political conflict, Victoria. This is a political conflict. We have had many movements in the past. Fatah started the armed struggle, not Hamas, but then Fatah and the PLO that I represent came to the conclusion that political horizon, that commitment to international law, that non-violence and negotiations is the way forward. We provided a path 30 years ago, and we have been committing until now. And look what Israel did over this 30 years. More settlements, more settler violence, less prospects for a two-state solution, more denial of our rights. And look at this fanatical government now, supremacist and everything, Kahanist. You're asking me about Hamas.
Do
you know who sits in the Israeli government?
About the Palestinian people in Gaza, if I may.
Victoria, do you know who sits in the Israeli government?
The Palestinian people in Gaza, do you know how much Hamas is supported by them?
Let's not focus on a Snapchat here. Just
No,
last
no, I'm
Saturday.
not focusing on a Snapchat.
No, you are.
I'm asking you a question. If you know, and if you can explain to our audience here in the UK, how much Hamas is supported by Palestinians in Gaza.
Why didn't you bring me here when the Israeli finance minister in Paris only recently...
Please, would you answer my question?
No, this is the right question. This is the right question because there is so much asymmetry in the conversation.
And
Really.
I would like to ask you if you know how much support Hamas has in Gaza from Palestinian people.
Well, from previous polls, from previous incidents, the majority of the people in Gaza do not belong to political factions, and those who do, the majority of them are Fatah. That's a fact.
Okay, that's a fact. That's good to hear. Thank you. We have not much time left. In a moment, we'll hear from the UK Foreign Secretary. Earlier this week, he said these indiscriminate killings, these murders, these kidnaps, these terrorist actions by Hamas should be condemned by the leadership of the Palestinian Authority, because otherwise there will be this perception that all Palestinians support Hamas, and they don't. How do you respond to that? Well,
22 Arab states only 2 days ago, including my government, condemned violence against civilians from all sides. I represent that government. Victoria, but why didn't you ask Mark Regev to condemn what his government is doing right now? Why didn't you use the word condemn for Mark Regev just a few seconds ago?
Just in a few seconds.
Why not Mr. Cleverly? The British government needs to stick to its own historic, legal and political responsibilities, and to stop giving a green light for those fanatics in the Israeli government, supremacists who have used the occasion and the incident on Saturday to wage a war against the Palestinian people, not Hamas.